Do a quick, fast profile of this fella. Louis Atanasio. He was born in 1944. He is, I guess, although he's probably retired from it now, an alleged loan shark, an alleged captain in the Bonanno crime family. He was said to have acted as a messenger for Joey Messino and Tony Spiro when they were in prison, possibly. So he has a record for weapons charges and loan sharking. That cost him 5 years. He did 5 years prior to his big conviction in 2004 for murder. He was also picked up on an FBI recording several times, in fact, inside John Gotti's social club, the Ravenite, when Gotti was boss, obviously. I think that is now, I don't know, but I thought I heard somebody tell me it was a high price shoe store, women's shoe store. Anyway, he had an earlier record for weapons charges, served 5 years for loan sharking. More charges came in the 80s. That included tax evasion, attempted bribery of a state trooper. That cost him 5 more years in the can. In the 1990s, he was indicted on racketeering and loan sharking. Listen to this. After it was learned he was running his loan, it's not funny, but his loan sharking operations out of his cell in a federal prison in the 1980s. You shouldn't do things like that on one hand. On the other hand, good for you. In 1997, after 23 years as a couple, by the way, he married his second wife in a prison ceremony. In April 1984, he took part in the murder of allegedly took part. Well, no, I guess he was convicted in the murder of a Bonanno soldier captain. I think actually Cesar Bonaventure, who was killed essentially, depending on who you talk to. There's two versions of this because he made mob boss Phil Rastelli nervous, or because in April of that same year, Bonaventure, 37 other guys, mob guys, were indicted. He was dead by the time the indictments came out. Were indicted as members of an international dope smuggling ring that brought around, well, according to the federal government, 1.65 billion worth of heroin, and then they get the Pizza Connect. They distribute it through pizza stores. Anastasio Bonanno member Sal Vitale drove Bonaventure to a meeting with Rastelli. As Vitale drove the car into a garage, Anastasio shot him twice in the head. Remarkably, incredibly, the slugs didn't kill this guy. So he grabbed the steering wheel. He tried to take the gun away from him. He was wrestling with these two guys. He's got two bullets in his head. And they had to stop the car because they were going to crash. And he leaped out of the car. Bonaventure did. He leaped out of the car. He crawled away. But they managed to get up to him quick, and they shot him 2 more times. His body was then hacked up and dumped in three 55-gallon drums and left in a warehouse in New Jersey. Whoosh. In 2004, Atanasio was indicted for murder for the Bonaventure killing, conspiracy, loan sharking. He took flight, as the FBI guys like to say, and he ended up in the tiny and remarkably corrupt Caribbean island of it's Saint Martin is what it's called, which is part of the Netherlands. Anyway, he was arrested there by local police, extradited back to the U.S. That place is so corrupt. I just wonder why he couldn't pay his way out of that one. He was a legitimate resident of the island. Anyway, in 2006, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and then he was released on parole in 2017. His brother is the alleged Bonanno mob guy, Robert Anastasio, whatever, Bobby. And he lives on Staten Island. He pled guilty to racketeering and conspiracy charges in 2006. Fairly recently, he was in a little bit of a problem. I think it was 2017, 2018. He apparently uh, he was released early. These guys don't care for rules, do they? And he made 300 phone calls to known underworld guys. The judge let him go on that one. By the way, for the obsessive compulsives out there, they say, "Why their names are Ha Ha?" I don't know. They're both called Ha Ha's. One calls who the sisters call. Who cares? Ha Ha. Who cares? So maybe their name was Bobby Ha Ha and Louie Ha, whatever. And the story is they laughed when they shot people. And that sounds like something law enforcement will come up with and hanging on him. It's irrelevant. And then you'll also ask why I didn't bring his first wife into this, because leave her alone. That's why she's had enough. She's had a hard time. Let her be.